This is Zop, and Zop has just been born. So for the first build, let's make a room for Zop. Like all the other clones, Zop's born on Camino. So for this build I'm mainly using white pieces. I started by making this door. And now I'm gonna build the walls. And finally I'm gonna add some beds to this room. Now that it's finished, Zop's getting brought to his room. In the room, 3 other clones are already asleep. So Zop gets put in the last bed.
Good night, everyone!
Then the Caminon left the room. So, would anyone like some death sticks? How much you got? The next morning the Caminon came to wake up the clones.
Good morning, everyone! What the fuck?
For the next build I'm making a battle simulator. This is where the cadets train to become a clone trooper. To make it more difficult I added this structure. So to pass this test you have to climb this wall. And then capture the flag on top. Now we're gonna skip ahead a few years to when Zop has become a cadet. So Zop is just chilling in his room, together with Brown Pants and NPC. Then Commander Brody entered the room. And he asked for Zop to come with him to begin his training. So together they walked to the battle simulator. Zop was super happy he could finally become a clone trooper. But then Brody told him he still had to wait a few years. And that his job was now just to clean the helmets.
Bruh.
So Zop did as he was told. Yeah, good boy. Then a 212 clone came to do the test. Watch and learn, kid. So Brody gave the signal and the test had begun. So the droids got ready to shoot the clone, but he quickly took them all out. After that he started to climb the wall. But on top there was one more droid. And just like that the 212 clone failed the test. Then he threw his helmet at Zop and left the room. Zop's next job was to get the room ready for the next clone. So he got rid of the droids and put up some new ones. Now the test was ready for the next clone. And next the 501st clone entered the room. So Brody gave the signal and the test had begun. And before they knew it, the clone had captured the flag. And after seeing all that aura, Zop knew he wanted to join the 501st. Then it was time for lunch. But before Zop could go, he still had to clean everything up. So he quickly cleaned the helmets and the room. And now he could finally eat lunch. So for the next build I'm making a cafeteria. First I built a display for the food. Then I added tables and chairs. And finally I'm adding some dishes. After cleaning everything up, Zop went to the cafeteria. He arrived much later than the others, so he had to wait in line. There were a lot of good dishes like burgers and croissants. But when it was Zop's turn everything was already taken. All that was left was his Rodian head. So Zop had no choice but to eat it. Then Zop told his friends all about what he saw. And that he wanted to join the 501st.
Nah man, the 212 is much better.
To become a clone trooper, Zop was still gonna need a lot of training. So next to build a gym, I added this pull-up bar, a bench press, and some dumbbells. And finally I added this target range. After a few years, Zop was now finally old enough to complete his training. And he has been training very hard. He's been doing a lot of pull-ups, bicep curls, and target practice. And now Zop was finally ready to take the test. So Zop arrived at the training simulator and put on his helmet. Then Brody gave the signal and the test had begun. The droids quickly started firing on Zop. But luckily Zop managed to dodge it all and fired back. He took out the 3 droids at the bottom. Then the droids on top got ready to shoot Zop. So Zop quickly took them out. After defeating all the droids, Zap climbed the structure and captured the flag. Now Zap has finally become a clone trooper. Then he got back to his room and learned that Brown Pants and NPC also made it. Then Sergeant Bob entered the room to give them their first mission. The squad got sent to the planet Maggito. So for the floor I used grey pieces. And next I'm adding random pieces to the ground to make it look cooler. For this mission Zap and his squad have to protect this cannon. But there isn't much going on, so they all get bored pretty quickly. But then Zap hears some noise in the distance. So he checks it out. And it's the 501st fighting off droids. But they're losing very badly. One of the clones even lands at Zap's feet. Then they receive orders to retreat. But Zap and NPC don't want to retreat. Then the 501st commander goes down, and the droids are about to finish him off. So NPC shoots down the spider droid. And Zap uses a jetpack to get behind the droids. Then he shoots them all and saves the commander. The commander then asks them to join the 501st. Zap and NPC both accept. So now they were officially members of the 501st. But unfortunately Brown Pants wasn't invited, so they all said their last goodbye. When Zap and NPC came back, they received a new set of armor. Then the commander entered the room and gave them a new mission. This mission takes place on the planet Kashik. Kashik is a forest planet, so I made the floor using green and brown plates. And finally I'm adding some plants and trees to the build. For this mission Zap and his squad have to find some missing clones. And they quickly find them, but they're already dead. Then Zap spots the droids who did this, and they're just about to execute these villagers. So the clones quickly take them out. But then a new wave of droids arrived, and they started firing at the clones. Luckily the clones all got to cover in time, but now they were stuck. So Zap grabbed the detonator and threw it at the droids. All the droids were defeated, or so they thought, because then Zap got attacked from behind. The droid was about to finish him off, but luckily NPC was there to save him. The squad had saved the day, and Zap felt like a real hero. Together they went on many more successful missions after this. And after a few years Zap received his phase 2 armor. So one day Zap's just chilling, when the commander enters the room and tells them that the 501st is needed on Umbara. Umbara is a super dark planet, so I made the ground using black pieces. Then I added some black trees and rocks to it. To help Zap see in the dark I gave him this visor. So the 501st is walking around on Umbara, but then they suddenly get attacked. This time they're getting shot by clones. So Zap and NPC fire back and take them all out. Then Zap goes to check out the bodies and notices that one of them is wearing brown pants. Brown Pants then tells them that it was Ponkrell's orders, and then he died. So next all the survivors teamed up to take down the traitor. But bro wasn't just gonna let that happen. So he pulled out his sabers and sliced down everyone. Even poor NPC. Then Zap managed to stop him, but NPC was still dead. Zap then got back to his room and sat all alone, remembering the good old days. But then suddenly Zap received a new order. Order 66. Together with the rest of the 501st, Zap got sent to the Jedi temple. For the temple I first built 4 big pillars. Then I added this big red carpet. I didn't really like how the pillars turned out, so I'm going to upgrade them a bit. So the Jedi are just chilling in the Jedi temple, but then they hear a bunch of footsteps coming from behind them. A group of clones led by Zap had entered the temple. So the Jedi asks what they're doing here. But Zap doesn't respond and just shoots him. Then the other clones get ready to shoot as well, so the Jedi pull out their lightsabers. Then the clones open fire and quickly kill one of the Jedi. But another Jedi blocks their shots and kills multiple clones with it. But eventually he goes down as well. Then another Jedi uses the Force to throw a pillar on the clones and slices down another one. so Zab takes him out. Zab was now the last clone left alive, so he had to finish off the last Jedi on his own. But luckily the last one was just a youngling.
Hiya!
What? Then Zab got back home and received a new set of armor.